Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Game Week 35 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team. And it's live. We are 54 minutes away from the Game Week 35 deadline and I'm on wildcard and it's not locked in as yet. As ever, I'll be taking you through as many FPL questions as I can between now and at 6:30 p.m. UK time deadline. Before I do, let me take you through some of the graphics. My team top right hand corner as it stands. As per the FPL website, i.e. that's exactly what's in my team at the moment. I am this week on wildcard. Pickford, O'Brien, Kivior, Vardiol, Salah, Captain Bumo, Jared Bowen, Morgan, Rogers, Vissa, Isak, and Marmoush on the bench. Sells. I can't remember who my other player is. I can't see it. Elanga, Collins, and Nico Williams. There is 5.6 million in the bank. I'm expecting to put Ollie Watkins in between now and deadline. That decision is going to be left very, very late because I want some Manchester City information. If there is none, I will probably take out Isak. I've got a little update for you on Aston Villa and Tottenham. It's not exciting. No, I don't have any ITK, but I can tell you Tottenham have emailed me in the last 5 minutes opening applications to apply for tickets for the game for away fans. There's no confirmation of a date on there, very importantly. So it is so unlikely that there will be any confirmation of a date in the next hour or at any point today, because I think otherwise Tottenham would have surely just held off that email for another hour or so, although my football club does do some dumb things sometimes. But it suggests we're very unlikely to get any confirmation of that. For what it's worth, I think the game will stay in Game Week 37 and be played on the Sunday at some point. But it could, in theory, be brought forward. And I want Ollie Watkins one way or the other against Tottenham, whether it's 36 or 37. If there was confirmation, which it doesn't look like there is going to be any, I would probably throw Emi Martinez in as well. Otherwise, I'm not anticipating changing anything else on this wildcard. If I get the Man City team, Marmoush isn't in it. Watkins is going in for Marmoush. Right, that's where I'm at. Captaincy. My preference on that is Brian Bumo. That's what I'm going with. I think he's top pick this week ahead of Marmoush and then Isak. You'll see my top 10 captaincy picks rotate with my correct score predictions for this week. Bottom right hand corner, you'll see my predicted lineups for all 20 teams. Bottom ticker has got all the flag players and remaining fixtures for each team. And the benching dilemmas where there are two players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start. They run in order left to right, pages 1 to 4. And you will also find some goalkeeper options on page 5. That's the graphics done. If any of your questions are answered by the graphics, I would be hugely delighted if you could do us the courtesy of deleting that. I'll still give you a little shout out. Right, let's get into the questions. 50 minutes to deadline, guys. Good luck, everyone. In advance warning now. Sorry if in the last 10 minutes I hesitate and don't get to your question, but I may need to do some shit with my own wild card. Right, Tommy Gonzo's first. His evening, James. 20 points behind a mini league rival. Fancy having some fun and taking a -8. Looking at Livramento to O'Brien or Collins, Palmer to KDB, or Rogers and Cunha. Sorry, Collins, Palmer to KDB or Rogers and Cunha to Vissa. No chips remaining. Too rash. So we're selling Livramento. I think that's a fine keep. I understand the appeal of O'Brien, but wouldn't be taking hits for Everton defenders. Palmer to KDB I get, but is he a certain starter after not even getting off the bench last Sunday? Don't love it. Palmer to Rogers, no. Cunha to Vissa I get completely. So that, fine. The others, less keen on. Uros Milicevic says, hi James, would you sell Sarr, Murphy or Asensio for Bumo? Would you also sell Mateta for Vissa, Watkins or Wood from -4, or do that transfer next game week for free? Best of luck this game week. Next game week for free for the Mateta move. I would from that lot sell Asensio because he's the only one who doesn't definitely start this week. Z says, hi James, Sarr to Bumo done. Weighing up if I should also do Mateta to Vissa, which is benching Saka and keeping him for 37, 38, or Saka to Bowen, or both moves from -4. I get the appeal of wanting to go to Vissa now. I mean, he's actually top. If I put Watkins in, it isn't Vissa that's going. Let me tell you, despite me having 5.6 million in the bank. If you're wondering why there's so much money in the bank, It enables me to do something like Ilanga to Palmer in 37. If I decide I want to do that, I would need to come to the conclusion that I think he's the best captain, but I've left that open. Also, get me back towards Saka in 37 if I want to as well. That's the reason for leaving all the money in the bank, if you were wondering. I think from that, I prefer the Saka to Bowen move. I probably wouldn't do both for the -4. I think Mateta's still absolutely fine for this week. It's home fixture, mate. Spooky Sorcerer says, "Hi James, one free transfer, no chips left. Who to sell to get Bumo, sorry. Who to get Bumo? You've put them together. Who to get Bumo? Saka or Savio? If no leaks, if Savio starts. Also, who to bench from them three and Murphy? Would be Murphy from that lot. Savinho goes obviously if he's not in the team. I get you won't want to sell him if he is, but it's probably just an ongoing headache. I would probably cut Saka at the moment with under that basis, with then the ability to go Savinho to Saka in 37, for example. Zem says, start Pope or Henderson. That's a close one. Didn't have them on the bench in dilemmas. Good shout. Of course, there'll be a lot of Nick Pope owners out there. Sorry, I hadn't given that much consideration. I think Henderson's a home fixture, ultimately. JP says, hi, mate. Who to keep out of Trossard and Marino? Probably Trossard at this moment. I've got Trossard predicted to start and not Marino, if that helps. But I think the Arsenal team is a lottery this week. Patrick Cliver, not that one, says, hi, mate. Double Arsenal defence or play Konsa over Saliba. Also, would you start Sarr or Marino? Probably Sarr, and I would just go to double Arsenal defence. Hasselbank's win says, James, would Arsenal have had a better season than Liverpool if they win the Champions League? And would Spurs have had a better season than Arsenal if they win the Europa League, but Arsenal don't win anything? Listen, there's no point answering the first bit because I can answer the next bit. The idea that Tottenham have had a better season than Arsenal if they end up with a trophy, or Manchester United, that's like preposterous. The two teams have had fucking disasters, mate. So, no. You remember that old question about, would you take finishing 17th if it meant winning a trophy? Yeah, well, Tottenham have been trying me this year, and I think I'd rather win most weeks personally and enjoy what I'm watching rather than have a trophy. So the answer to your question is no, mate. And similar to, if Arsenal had a better season if they win the Champions League, then that's a little bit different in the sense that, that's kind of the ultimate goal for Arsenal, having never won it, right? Would be if you win the Champions League, there's arguably not many better seasons that Arsenal had, so that's a little different. Rory says, Bowen cap, I don't mind it. Do you know what? Me and Suj discussed this morning. I said I was thinking about it. I'm not going to do it, but I'm not going to do it because of West Ham rather than Tottenham. Just got not enough confidence in West Ham, whereas I do have confidence in how Brentford play. CMP says, hi James, on wildcard, 2 decisions left. First, Palmer versus KDB. Second, Wood versus Visser. Still have bench boost and aiming for 37, so that makes me nervous on KDB. Thanks. Still have bench boost and aiming for 30. Well, I think it's worth noting that Man City, when they announced the kickoff time yesterday against Bournemouth and the day, they actually advertised it as being Kevin De Bruyne's last home game. So if he's fit, he will be involved in that. There's very little doubt about that. So from that perspective, if 37 specifically is a priority for you, then the answer is probably KDB. But we might get 37 and we might feel like Cole Palmer's the best captain. That is a possibility. Perticus says, only one free transfer this week, mate. Thinking of Bradley to Jacob Bryan. Alternative is to leave Bradley on my bench, play Livramento and roll. Thoughts? Also, is Elanga a decent shout to the end of the season? Yeah, I've got Elanga in as primarily just for next week is the kind of thinking. And as I said, maybe then move him on to one of the big hitters. I'd probably go O'Brien. I think Bradley's just going to be an ongoing headache to you, mate. There's not real reason to hold that. Yes, he's in the squad. He may well play. Arne Slot has said that he will make some changes this weekend. But I'd probably be binning Bradley, mate. But also at the same time, caution on making transfers for defensive players at the moment. Like, is that going to get you the best gain? Or are there offensive players? We're in a short term here. O'Brien probably starts for you twice, maybe 3 times, subject to the rest of what your team is. But yeah, I probably would go O'Brien. Zaris says, hey, who to play? Nico Williams, Livramento, or Dean? Like and subscribe. James is an FPL. God, thank you, Zaris. I would chance Luca Dean, but don't be surprised if he doesn't start. FPL Uproar says, hello, James. 2 free transfers. Visser and Boomer in for Mateta and Asensio. Cheers and good luck. Boomer all day long. No reason not to. If you need to go Mateta to Visser to make that happen, then I perfectly get it. But I'll repeat what I've said a few times. To think Mateta's still very good for this week. John Harris says Mateta to Vissa or Saka to Bumo. Saka to Bumo. Fantasy Fluke this afternoon, James. I'm 11 points from leader of my mini league. Rather than template Saka to Bumo, would you go Saka to KDB and captain? Not unless I knew for certain he was going to play. Wouldn't even consider it, mate. I really don't think he's a certain starter tonight. There's every chance we'll find out. Sorry, I'm just reading the message. It's nothing to do with team news or anything. But shout out to our patrons watching along. Obviously, if there is anything on the Manchester City team news, I am particularly keen. Please do drop me a tag on Slack if we've got anything that would be useful to me particularly. And I will share it in here. Obviously, it's coming through. Please double check sources. There was the usual nonsense. Do you remember last week I said there was something I wouldn't share? And it was something that a Newcastle chancellor, and I said you've got to be careful these Newcastle ITKs, and it was claiming that Harvey Barnes wasn't starting, and that's why I decided not to share it because I was like, I don't like that, I don't trust it. I didn't want to panic anybody. Admittedly, I wish I had because he blanked. Fantasy Fluke this afternoon, James. 11 points for I've just done that. Sean G says, hi, James. Hope you're well. What is the best Arsenal strategy now if you're chasing mini league rival? Are you chasing? Thanks. I'll be going Glasner now. And I'd be praying that West Ham beat Tottenham and the Aston Villa Tottenham game got brought forward, and then I could have an Ange Postecoglou double bonus opportunity of Crystal Palace and Aston Villa away. You'd have to do it, wouldn't you? And then 37, maybe like Potter against Forest, for example. But yeah, I think I would be going Glasner now. Personally, that's what I would be doing. I think that's what Sudge is going to do as well. He's in a similar position. We discussed it on our Patreon podcast this morning. That was my recommendation. But it's not landed, I have to say, it has not landed as well as we thought it was. But also take solace in the fact that it's not landed great for bench boosters either. Adam M says, happy Friday, come you Spurs. I know it's team dependent, but for an Everton punt for the next three, would you go defence over Dwight McNeil or another midfielder? Strikers feel like a lottery. Yeah, I mean, if I was picking an Everton attacker, the only one I would consider right now is Abdullah Decore. I don't think it's a certainty McNeil even plays, mate. Gavin Richardson says, hey, James, no chips left. 1 free transfer. Want to go Murphy to Bumo to captain, but need to go Raya to Pickford from -4. Verbruggen's second keeper, worth breaking the -4 goalkeeper rule. I mean, you know I don't like that, but it's obviously for a purpose, right? So you have to factor in that you want to get what you believe is the best captain this week. So it's fine. All I'd say is, like, are you significantly making your team better? Not necessarily sure that you are. Is that the best way of doing it, Gavin? That's all I'd say. But yeah, this isn't. If you said to me, I want to go Rare to Pickford from -4, like, I'd laugh you out the room. I'd be like, there's no point doing that sort of thing. But you are doing it for a purpose, Gavin. So if that's what you feel, it's fine, mate. Billy Taylor says, yes, Jimbo, happy Friday. Would you rather go Asensio to Bumo and Mateta to Vissa? It's the Bumo move. Do both from -. I'm not keen. I'm going to keep screaming this about Mateta this week. It wasn't out of consideration to go in on my wild card, by the way. Honestly. It's fucking Tottenham next week, kids. Diljeet07 says, hope you're enjoying the good weather. I'm sweating. Who would you sell out of Savinho Marino in order to get Bumo in this week? It's dependent on the team lineup later, isn't it? And if you don't get anything, I'd sell Savinho. Chris Koo says, hi, James. I'm playing the Arsemanship this week. Who do you think gets the most points for 35 and 36? Only Pep, Frank, or Moyes. Will definitely be Moyes or Emery. Cheers. Hang on. You asked me about Pep, Frank, or Moyes, and you're talking about Emery, mate. I mean, there is a case to just go Moyes for the 3 weeks, right? Fulham away bonus next week and 2 brilliant home games. There is a case for that. Emery, if it landed with the extra game, you'd say yes, wouldn't you? But Fulham Bournemouth, it's not screaming, is it? There's no bonus. Honestly, I'd be going Glasner. I'd be going Glasner and then I'd be going something else next week. And if it was just Moyes, I'd be going Moyes. And I think the power in those transfers might be better served for you than doing stuff with your team. Stephen Moore says, hi, James. Rashford to Bowen from -4 and bench Sarr/Mateta. I wouldn't be benching Mateta, mate. Or bench Rashford and do the move next week for free. Yeah, Rashford to Bowen, I'd be getting done, mate. I'd be getting done. But I don't know. It's effective over Sarr, isn't it? Is that really a weakest player? You're in a good position, Stephen. No, I don't think I'd bother them. I don't know if I'd bother, mate. Tell you what, if Sarge your weakest attacker this week, well done, mate. Hang on, you've got Rashford. But obviously, if you sell Rashford, then Sarge becomes your weakest. I'd leave it, I think, mate. Prashan says, hi James, I've done Saka to Bumo, thinking for a -4, either Rashford to KDB or Bowen. Is it better to do Mateta to Visser or Watkins? Also Murphy or Rogers to start? I'm going to say Bowen, mate. Mark says, hi James, love the content as always. Would you do Kanate and Sarr to O'Brien and Bowen from -4? No. No. So, I mean, Sarr to Bowen, like, then, so that's not opening up money for Everton defender. Pause. Just think about this. JP says, best differentials in each position for the rest of the season, please. Capers, Mark Flecken, Nathan Collins. Can I say Visser up front? Can I still get away with that? Have I got to pick something different? I'll throw a stupid name out there for forwards. Let's say Mateta. I'll throw one out there. I don't think anyone to go there. Liam Delap has got incredible fixtures for the remainder of this season. There's a big one for you. Midfielder, I'm going to say Alanga. I think. I assume there's so much interest in Bowen here that he's not it anymore, is he? Alex MJ87 says Palmer and Bruno Fernandes to Boomer and Bowen from -4 or just do one. It's a one. What I would say is, I think Bruno Fernandes will play, but we must take note of Ruben Amorim's comments today. It was very specific, and he specifically said we will not play anyone that is a risk of injury. Now, Bruno Fernandes might not fall into that line, and if he doesn't, he will play. But I did feel that it might have been a bit of a warning as like, this team's going to look a bit weird on Sunday. Hence the doubling down on Boomo captaincy for me. Boomo would be the priority, Alex, by the way. I think Fernandes to Boomo. Palmer to Bowen from -4. It's not right, mate. It's not right. Daft Sam says, hi James, do you think Sarr, Mateta to both Boomo and Vis? No, I've done this, mate. So it's not free, sure. I ultimately, when you break that down, like, if you need to do it for money reasons, cool, fine. I'm going to say yes, right? But if you can just go Sarr to Mateta, Boomo, just do it, right? Adam Nahum 95 says, hi James, already did Saka. Boomo, views on Mateta to Watkins for -4. No, mate. No, mate. Chris W says, hi James, what's the better transfer plan? I'm free hit 38. Diaz to KDB this week, and then Cunha to Wood next week, or Cunha to Vissa this week, then Diaz to Elanga next week. Yeah, the second one, mate. Gary says, hi James, non-FPL question, if you don't mind. Do you think that the foul on Hoyland for the penalty last night warranted a red? Don't think I've ever seen a red given for anything similar in the Premier League. I've seen one angle of it, it was side on. Ultimately, it is denying of a goal scoring opportunity. If they deem that he's going to get to the ball, and because there isn't an attempt to play the ball, it's the correct decision by law. That was my view on it, and I've seen literally one angle of it, but I'd probably say yes. It's an unusual one. He's quite lazy to defending on it, but that was my view on the one take I saw anyway. Needsam123 says, start Saliba or Ruben Diaz. When I'm going City clean sheets, Diaz. Dan Wilsh says, hi James, start Savinho or Sarr, but obviously if you get news on Savinho, then you're going to want to play him, which would be very understandable, right? Cool. Sorry, I was just reading something. It's not relevant. Gavin Richardson says, my friend, the one who used to be uncomfortable with his arse man, missed free hit deadline. Should he free hit 38 with loads of punts or attack a potential Villa double? Game week 36 could be tasty. Well, this is a hypothetical, isn't it? Could be, maybe, would be, yeah. Could be, maybe, would be, maybe. But yeah, someone asked me earlier today, like, what's the best week left for a free hit? And I said, well, without seeing what your team is, mate, it's probably 38. Treble Newcastle, treble Bournemouth, treble Arsenal, probably Salah and like a Bowen or something like that. Rizala T says, Ollie Watkins and Isak, or Isak and Marmoush for the rest of the season on wildcard top man, James. Well, I don't think it's that black and white for me. Literally in reference to Isak. So I want Isak 38, but I feel like I think Isak is better than Watkins for the next two if the Villa game stays it. But I've also come to the conclusion that Watkins will stop me chasing other things because I'm definitely getting him for that Tottenham game. He'll highly likely be captain for me whenever that fixture takes place, I should imagine. If so, mate, Europa League final, I should clarify. Probably not if we didn't make it and it stayed in 37. I would maybe look at something else. But there's every chance I want him for captain. So then that's going to kill me off of, oh shit, I might want to get Palmer in or get back to Saka. It's probably going to kill me off. Right? Because chances are I got 15 players. Something's going to fuck up on it. It's out of my control. Or I'm obviously going to make mistakes with these choices. The plan is to put him in at some point in the next half hour. The intention is to put him in for Isak. However, it might be that it's for Marmoush. But I don't really foresee any reason at this moment why Marmoush wouldn't start. That's my take at the moment. So, look, there is way more danger in taking on Isak, I would suggest. That's probably what I'm going to do. I look at these weeks and think, and listen, he can go off at any point, any time. You know, he scored and assisted in the League Cup game away to Arsenal. But they're games against decent defensive sides. This week's the worrying one. Then I'm not too fussed about it for the next couple. And then maybe in 38 I go, no, it's not Isak. I'm going to go Visser to Evan Nilsson or something like that. Maybe something different. So the intention for me right here, right now is Marmoush Watkins. I can't promise that I don't bottle it. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I might, because I've had Alexander Isak for a very long time and he's been very good to me. I did say when I tweeted earlier it's going to be a late decision, but intention is to go Isak to Watkins as it stands. None of you is going to say anything that's going to change my mind. I am going to do it. It's Man City might change my mind. Rizla T says Ollie Watkins and Isak. I've just done. Andy Max says, hey James, I know it's on your captain list, but if we get news KDB starts, is it worth captaining over Marmoush as a spicy differential? He loves punishing Wolves. Just ask Andy Martin. Actually, don't. I had this chat with Andy Martin literally yesterday on Patreon, mate. Sure. Cool. If you've got the information, you want to punt KDB, I'm not going to tell you no, mate. You're almost just looking for justification for it, right? Can KDB go off? It's KDB, isn't it? Eros Milicevic says, who to pick as assistant manager, Glasner, Pep Moyes? I'm saying Glasner. Ricky Donahoe says, James, would you start Timber or Kivior? And should I have the other one ahead or behind of Conser on the bench? I don't think Timber will start. Really don't. Kivior should start. So ultimately, that's the decision made just from that, isn't it? Alex Moore, thank you. Hope you're well. Neil Kager says, hi, all from cloudy Ottawa. Hello, Neil. Hope you're well. Gavin says, didn't realise Santa plays on a plastic pitch. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you? They've beaten Lazio and Porto at home. Be a great watch for the neutrals. I bet it's not a great watch, mate. Well, it will be if we get beat. I suspect Tottenham are probably going to turn up and try and make it ugly, actually. I think it's every chance. Could well be. Look, am I confident that we do it from here? Yes. Confidence of 1 to 10, with 10 being this is over. 5. It's not. I promise you it's not. Prashan says, by the way, shout out Jack. I if you're watching, mate. Yeah. Prashan, Saliba or Kanate or Bradley. Start one, Saliba. Stuart Webb says, hello, fellow wildcard. Only one question. How come no KDB? Best it up. Well, I think it's possibly a bit of a headache. And also that money in the bank. Be interesting if we think Haaland's starting against Southampton next week, wouldn't we? I might be able to get there. I wouldn't intend to, I don't think. But there is that element to it a little bit, yeah. I just think ultimately, I think I did this was chatting, might have been in the chat with Andy, one of the pods this week on Patreon, I can't remember. Is he like 26 points in the last 12 game weeks or something like that? And after that was like one game. Take away the Palace game. What have you seen? It's not for me. Honestly. I'm not just putting him in just because I can afford him. I'm not doing it. I think there's something I'm going to want in 37 that's going to be more important to me. It might even be him because he's definitely playing against Bournemouth. Nihar says, hey James, would you do Sarr to Bowen or Mateta to Vissa this week for 1 free transfer? Already have Boomo. Just get both Bowen and Vissa for a hit. No chips left. Cheers, James. Smash the like button, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, first time someone said that. Smash a like. Doesn't cost anything, guys. It's about, I don't know, 15, 20% of you smash a like. Come on. make my day. It's hot. Alright, it's hot. I can't open the window. I don't have air conditioning. I ain't got enough patrons to be able to afford it. You wouldn't want whirling noise. And I can't open the window because then you'd have the noise of the tracks. I'm sitting here. I'm hot. I'm hot. Come on, just, you know what I mean? What was your question? Sarta Bowen, Mateta to Vissa, Sarta Bowen. Tom Hall says, hi mate, sell Savinho Murphy for Brian. Good luck in tomorrow. Enjoy it. Good luck Sunday, I think you mean, Tom. But yeah, good luck. You know what I'm going to say already, mate. It's Savinho dependent on news. If there is no news, I would sell Savinho. JB says, hi James, if you had a bench boost left, would you change any of your wildcard players and why? Love your work. Crap. Yeah, I've not really got time to I've not considered that sort of thing. It wouldn't be, I tell you what, it wouldn't be that far away. This team I've got has got 8 players playing the bottom 3 next week. Woof. Yeah. So I would probably be planning to bench boost 36. I don't think it'd be wildly different. Yeah, there would be some bits different, but on the face of it, I probably wouldn't be that different. I probably would stick treble Villa in, hoping that the fixture got brought forward. Don't leave yourself too short 37 the other way, though, if it does. So ignore Tottenham, yeah. Craig Gardner says, just outside top 10k in reach, no chips. There's KDB to Boomo, Rashford to Bowen sounds sensible. And then who to captain? Who do I play? Conservative and captain Salah to try and protect rank. If you're trying to protect Craig, then, you know, if you don't think there's a suitable option to take him on, and that's fine, then just go Mo. There's nothing wrong with doing that, mate. I don't know if you want to sell, you know, if we do get news, I don't know if you want to sell KDB tonight, mate. That's all I'd say, but I think Boomo's the standout option to go and get, mate. FPL Andy says, afternoon, James. Thoughts on 8 Norrie to Mikalenko, Evan Nilsson to Visser. I prefer O'Brien. Probably tell that from what I've got in my team. But yeah, fine. All I'd say is, you know, consider like 38, Mikalenko at Newcastle, 8 Norrie of a home fixture against Brentford. That might be contradictory based on you having Brentford players. Evan Nilsson to Visser, yeah, all day long for me. I know you can look and say, oh, Evan Nilsson's got Leicester at home 38, but yeah, I think there's a lot happening between now and then. So yeah, Evan Nilsson to this I'd be prioritising, mate. Steve J10 says, hi James, still have arse man, one upside but also save transfers. Glasner looks okay this week but would need to move him on. Pep is boring option, but I'm thinking Hertzler or Moyes. Thoughts? So you want to save the transfers? Okay. Hertzler, 2 home games. Bonus? Probably is bonus. Newcastle, isn't it? No, it's not. No, it's not. Isn't it? Fucking questioning me myself now. Sorry. It is bonus, isn't it? Sorry. Yeah, they're 9th. Newcastle 3rd. Of course it is. Sorry. 2 home games. What they got next week? Wolves away. I think Brentford are going to finish 8th, by the way. Fucking back in Everton. Yeah, I mean, Hertzler's 2 bonus, isn't it? Yeah, Hertzler. I don't love either. I'll be clear. I think Newcastle will win on Sunday. But yeah, I'll probably go that. Voshan says, hey James, hope you're well and you're the man. Thanks for the content. Start Semenyo or Saka. I have the luxury of transferring Rashi for Boomo instead of Saka. Yeah, look, if you've got Saka, you know, he's on the bench in dilemmas. I probably in most cases would start him. I would start him over a Semenyo. I've got Saka ahead of Evan Nilsson on the bench in dilemmas, mate. So that. Curry says, hi James, is Watkins on wildcard more for the chasers instead of league leaders? Afraid sell Isak as he has the quality to go off any time. 40-point lead, but still cautious. Yeah, fine. Yeah, there's probably an element in me. I think it's fair to say like I'm 40k effective. I probably want to push rather than protect. Like I'm not scared of dropping. I for me it's more like what would you have regrets over? And it's like yeah, I'd rather push, but ultimately it's also the logic of looking at the next 3 weeks. I'm thinking yeah, over the 3 I probably want Watkins, but would like to go Isak to Watkins. Truthfully, like if it came out announced in the next half hour, right, Villa Tottenham is going to be in game week 37, I'm going to leave this. I'm open. I want to be open and not chasing my tail on Watkins in case it gets brought forward. and it has to be a chance. And everyone was like, oh my god, no more blanks or doubles. And it was like, can you please read what it says? Set 2 is not definitive. And there's no confirmation from Villa or Tottenham. I don't want to be chasing that next week. If I chase Watkins next week, suddenly it's like, oh, kidding me. And I'm forced into selling Isak at that point anyway, right? So I ain't selling Marmoush against Southampton. I ain't selling Visser against Ipswich, right? So this is why Isak's the one that I'm going to take it on, sure. Yeah, if you want to protect the lead, even more so reason to keep, right? And listen, trust me, there is no doubt in Alexander Isak. I said in pre-season that I thought he should be 11 million. And I would have bought him in Game Week 1 last year if he was 11 million. That's what I said. I captained him Game Week 1. I've a little doubt in the ability of that player to go off at any point against anyone. And sometimes the better opponents even suits more, right? But I'm probably going to take it on. Next up is Colin Conn says, smash a like, or it's free. Doing Saka to Bumo. Sorry, I can't see the end of that. Bear with me. Second free transfer, João Pedro to Visser or Watkins. Mini league rival has bench boost and free hit. I have no chips and I'm 6+ points. Oh God, I think it's I do think Villa Tottenham will stay in 37. That's my instinct. I don't know nothing. For those who missed it, as said, I got an email literally from Tottenham as the stream was starting saying like the tickets are available to apply for, still no confirmation on a date, right? So so unlikely we get anything at this point. I'm going to say Visser, mate. I think the immediate in front is good enough to then go Visser to Watkins. For Greendale says, good afternoon to James. Asensio, Sarr, Mateta to Bumo, Bowen, Visser for a -8. Or just Asensio to Bumo for 3. Yep, 3. For me, yeah. Jay Barker says, hey James, any accommodation recommendations for Bilbao? Yeah, don't fuck about. I'm sorted if we get there, and I've got full refund if we don't. It's absolutely ridiculous, mate. Race to the bottom. And it's getting worse every day, mate. If you haven't started looking, I suggest you do it. My recommendation at this moment is anything. Tom Armitage says, hi James, I already see lots of questions on Saka, Sarr to Bumo, Visser, etc. So I'll ask you my defensive question. Would you start Diaz, double seat defence with Vardy, or spread the risk with Constant? Nah, I'd be playing the double seat, mate. Don't do spreading riskier, mate. Gavin Richardson says, we think Isak is carrying an injury. First 11 games of the season, he played 90 minutes 9 times. He's done 80 minutes since game week 26. Is it time to move on to Watkins next week? Nothing to do with an injury, Gavin. This is purely the minutes down to there's the availability of Wilson and Ursula to give them some minutes towards the end of the game to try and keep them happy for the rest of the season, and because they might be needed if and Isak got injured. So no, I don't think he's carrying any problems. Simon Baker says, hi James, sell Palmer for KDB. I wouldn't be doing that personally. Ayub says, is selling Saka for Bumo wise? Ask me on Sunday night and I'll tell you, mate. Can't see into the future, but I think it has to be strongly considered, especially when you factor in the fixtures next weekend as well. Khalid Elmi says, hi James, hope you're doing well. Visser and Bumo this week instead of Rasha and Mateta -4 to keep Saka differential later, or just make Saka to Bumo this week for 3. I mean, there was one earlier. It's like, yeah, keep Rashford. Again, you don't need to. Why can't you just go Rashford to Bumo? Hang on. Visser and Bumo this week instead of Rashford and Mateta -4 to keep Saka differential. I think the weightage of a dead player that's dead, but I don't know who would be playing for you instead of Rashford, mates. It's kind of relevant to the question. So I'm going to say Visser and Bumo. Dara Sam Maguire, transfer done. Enjoy the weekend, mate. Any big summer plans? Also done my part and listen to Dan and yourself for the 15th time today. Thank you, mate. Bilbao, hopefully, mate. The advanced tier patron team this year, and I'm really struggling today, mate. I really struggled to think about anything other than Tottenham. And I can't think about anything. I did a piece for the patrons earlier in the week talking about summer content. I was like, I don't know yet. I don't know. I need to know what's happening with Tottenham. Greg wants everyone to hit the like, folks. That would be appreciated. Should we do a like count? Well, it's a bit better, up to sort of, I don't know, 25%, maybe 30% of your smash. Like, come on, guys, it don't cost anything. It all helps. Grigol says, would you activate bench boost on Kepa, Konsa, Diaz, Cliver, two Bournemouth players away to Arsenal? No, mate. No. It's got to go soon, admittedly, but next week better. I can't see the rest of your team, can I? But Ross Cordingley says Saka to Bumo, Saka, Sard, Bumo, and KDB, Sar, Mateta, Bumo, and Vissa. Yeah, yeah, the last one. My friend whose name the one day I'm going to remember it. I'm so sorry, mate. I think I'm going Sada, Bumo, and Mateta bench. It's like, how many times could you Bumo? It's quite popular this week. I think I'm going Saar, Boomer, and Mateta bench. Would you also Mateta, Vissa, and Murphy bench? Also start Sells and Milenkovic or Ray? I don't mind going Mateta to Vissa for free. A lot of the questions have been -4. But again, I think just have a glance at Mateta's next two fixtures. Just yeah, they're okay. Also start Sells and Milenkovic or Raya. I hang on. Who's the other defender, mate? I would be, if it's like another Arsenal defender, I'd be double Arsenal defences. But Arsenal over Forest this week defences, let's do that. Unless it's Timber, probably is going to be a 1-pointer. Jody Pegler says, hi James, bench one of Saliba, Munoz, Ruben, Diaz. I have Reyes to start in Saliba, would mean double Arsenal defence. Also, would you start Rodgers or Sarr? I would Rodgers or Sarr? Sarr, I think. No, Rodgers. Rodgers, actually, based on my predictions. Yeah, Rodgers. Um, yeah, you don't bench Munoz. Come on, it's the end of the season. Don't bench Munoz. I would go Munoz and Diaz. Jacob Frost says, best Arsenal window if I want 40 points. It's probably, it could well be that Hurtsler route, mate, but don't be surprised if it's like 5. That's But you got to, if you want 40, you got to swing at something, don't you? Personally, I'd swing Glasner now. I personally would take a route of something like Glasner this week, Moyes next week, and then Potter 37. That decision doesn't have to be made yet. Chris Koo says, which defender combo returns more over the next 3 game weeks? O'Brien, Livermento, O'Brien. Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. But O'Brien twice. Thank you very much. I wish you luck, Chris. Cheers. For Greendale says, like the stream, fellow nerds. Thank you. Yeah, not everyone's a nerd, but nerds like, and non-nerds like. James Lovegrove says, just here to see the medical impossibility of a man with a body is in North London, but mind in Norway. It's so true. Got another game first. I'm so gutted I'm not going next week, man. Harry Brown says Bumo and Bowen for Saka and Asensio. Or hold Saka by doing Boomer. Yeah, move it on. Sam Baxendale says, hi James, listen to the Monday podcast and there wasn't much on the Palace versus Villa and City versus Forest games. What did you think of them and what chance do you think Palace in the final? Yeah, decent chance. City are obviously going to be strong favourites, but I wouldn't look at Palace and say can't win. I only watched the second half of Palace Villa. And City Forest I recorded, avoided the score and watched it straight after Tottenham's games. I wasn't really in the mood. I just felt with Forest that they had. To be honest, we discussed Forest semi-final quite a bit with Mark Southerns on yesterday's COTC. I felt Forest had a game plan to keep it tight and try and win the game in the second half, and kind of blew up really early, didn't it? Palace were great on the counter. Absolutely brilliant on the counter, and that would be their best way of trying to beat City. Definitely got a chance. I wouldn't read too much into the 5-2, right? Jurgen says, I fell from 70k to 240k in 2 game weeks. I have 3 at 38 and triple captain. Any advice to get back to 100k? You need to push hard, but also don't necessarily lose sight of things being popular for a reason is worth mentioning, right? Remember, there'll be other people potentially struggling at the moment as well. Might be some different captaincy choice. I mean, this, for example, this week captaincy is wide open. There isn't. I think Bumo's the best shout, but there isn't a standout definitive. Yeah, that's definitely the best captain. So, take your opportunity with Mo over these 4 weeks. There are opportunities to take him on every week. it's probably do it. I don't think that doesn't mean you have to sell him. You just mark him down as a small loser in the book, maybe. But I think captaincy, take it on. Thomas Thornton says, hello, mate. I have Diaz, Salah, KDB, Rogers. Marmoush, Mateta, Isak. Not worth doing a minus to get Boomo, is it? It is if you want to captain him, mate. I would strongly be thinking about going Diaz to Boomo. I don't think Diaz is a certain starter this week, by the way. I think Jota's going to play. I still have Diaz in my predicted Liverpool lineup, but I don't think he's a certain starter. Honestly, if I was sitting there Diaz, I'd be going Diaz to Boomo. I've just taken Diaz on wildcard without a second of hesitation, actually. So I bought him last week. Mateta to Vissu is for -4. Yeah, again, not keen, mate. Alan Holohan, Saka and Savino, Boomo, KDB -4. Bench boosting, so can't afford to carry a non-starter. So you thought you'd take a hit for KDB. Could go Bowen over KDB. I would, mate. Would go Bowen. Thomas Jones this afternoon, James. Between buying KDB or Watkins for free would be for Sal Mateta. All the best on a wild card. I think you'd know the answer, Thomas. Excuse me. I wish you luck, mate. Watkins, by the way. Poker Master Marcella, is there KDB confirmation? No, not as far as I'm aware. Again, to our patrons, there's too many messages for me to go through, so please do tag me on Slack if we've got anything that's useful. I'm trying to knock out a load of messages I've got at the moment. None of them are team news worthy at this moment. Meninda says, have you ever bought an expensive ticket on resale? No. So I'm not the. I get these questions a lot, Meninda. I'm really sorry because I've always got a ticket. I'm not the right person to be asking, mate. Charles says, hello, James. Would you get Haaland, not select Salah? Any reason? I don't even think Haaland would be in the squad tonight, mate. Pep said, when Pep was asked, he said, do you think he plays? I don't think so. I don't think he's got a reason to bullshit at the moment. So, no. I wouldn't even say he's a certain start at Southampton next week. It's just a complete no-go unless something miraculous happens in the next 12 minutes, and I'm not expecting it to. Next up is David Tilstone. Play Rogers, rotating -4 to switch João Pedro to Vissa and bench Rogers. My free chance will be Saka to Boomer. I mean, there's no point holding on to João Pedro, so I'll be doing that anyway. And look, you might have a player left out you weren't expecting, and you're in a much stronger position. So yeah, don't put that off. Get Vissa in, mate. Sam Watson says, hope you will, James. Cunha to Vissa -4, worth it. Glance at 36 to 38 and see how you feel about that, maybe, mate. I'm going to say no. The thing about Cunha is as well, right? They could lose 2-1 tonight. He scores his 9-pointer. Visser outscoring that, mate. He's got to get 3 attacking returns. That's no, really. D-Taff says, torn between Iriola and Moyes for Arsenal. I'm not keen. Someone else said that about Iriola. I'm not keen at all, mate. Really not. They're not at their best at the moment. I think the Ryan Christie absence is pretty big at the moment. I personally would not be torn on that. I get it. I think I don't think Arsenal's not going to be like 11 changes. I think they want some momentum. There'll be changes, but I think they want some momentum as well. Whatever team Arsenal put out should be beating Bournemouth. That's what I would think when I see the teams tomorrow. I still think Arsenal winning. D-Taff says, torn but done that. Yahya says, play double Arsenal defence, Ryan Saliba, one of Kilman area. I mean, look, as much as I'm shit, and you've also asked about Consite, it would be the Arsenal guys, mate. Again, unless it was Timber. Lukeboy123 says, hi, James, would you do Mateta to Watkins? Still have free transfers after my other transfers this week. Thanks, mate. Great content this week. No hold. Thomas Thornton says, hopefully we'll smash United in the final, mate. Do you think United will be in the final? Melon Musk says, this joke. Melon Musk says, Mateta and Rashford to Boomo and Vissa for free. Yes, particularly if it's got to be done for money reasons. Will Ormsby says, when should I play bench boost? Have Fabianski, Saar, Milenkovic, Livramento on the bench. The moment you've considered selling Fabianski would be the moment. You never know your luck though. Fabianski might play 37 or 38. I've discussed this a few times. I wouldn't rule it out. But also I think West Ham probably needs some positive results between now and then. He's got to go, mate. Can't be bench boosting with no goalkeeper, mate. So it's a relevant conversation until you move that on. Based on the rest of what you've got, it's 36, mate. But I can't see the rest of your team. You say, I've got Saar. Okay, well, you say, I've got Milenkovic. Yeah, but you're playing Milenkovic at home to Leicester. So who's on the bench instead? It's like impossible to answer, mate. Craig Buckingham says, Palmer or Murphy, alternatively by Man City if we get a leak. Uh, is in this to start. I would just start Palmer. Chris Koo says you have Kivio ahead of Conser and Raya, ahead of Martinez in the benching ticker, but would you double up? I've done this, mate. Come on. Jeffrey Livingston says Savino to Bowen -4 or just start both Sarr and Mateta. Again, this is City team news dependent, isn't it? If we get anything. We are 9 minutes to deadline, guys, and as a reminder, I need to break away and deal with my own shit at some point here. Nothing at the moment, guys, as far as I can see. Right, not that's trustworthy anyway. Liam Doyle says, hi James, 1 free transfer, 0.2 in the bank. Would you sell KDB to Bumo, Mateta to Vissa for a hit? Again, wouldn't do the second one for a hit. Obviously, if you're going KDB to Bumo, you've got money in the bank. Wouldn't do Mateta to Vissa for a hit. Martin says, happy Friday, James. Mateta to Vissa and get Glasner for assistant manager. Love that. Let's sell a Palace player and get a Palace manager in. I actually get this. Or KDB to Bowen and go Pep or a different manager. I would chance Glasner, as I said, so it would be that route. Cyril Kavanagh says, hi James, Raya in goal, start cons for Saliba, Sam Watson. Does Anthony win 2 medals if Betis win the Conference, United win Europa? That's one for the nerds, but probably. Chris Bruce says, how important is Mateta over a midfield of Salah, Bowen, Bumo, Rogers, Sarr? Not sure I followed the question, mate. Who's your other forwards? I mean, I'd be picking Mateta over Rogers, Sarr this week, without a doubt. So I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Chris. Poke Master Marcello says KDB or Bowen. Who scores more points over the next 4 game weeks? Bowen. If I didn't think that KDB would be in, mate. Myth UFC says, hi James, De Bruyne or Watkins? Watkins, unless someone can tell me that De Bruyne definitely starts tonight. Alex MJ87 says, thanks James. Would you start Murphy or Elanga? Murphy, just about, I think. Just based on my predictions, close one that though. Highest ceiling with Elanga though, you feel. Nah, probably Murphy still, yeah. Dylan says, hi James, ask man this week or next week. I would go now. Gilly P says, evening James, thanks for the content this year, mate. Like and subscribe, Pete. Much love, brother. Thank you, Gilly. Have a good one. Paul Clark wanted to play Raya or Ariola. Sorry, I didn't miss that intentionally. Raya. It's on the bench in dilemmas, mate. Sam Dobbins says, hi, mate. Start double City defence. Vardy on Diaz or bench Diaz. Play Munoz, Saliba and Vardio. Yeah, I said to someone else earlier, play Munoz, man. It's kind of the most exciting fullback in the league, near enough, isn't he? Another Hoop says, all right, mate. Cheers for the content. Do you think Cunha to Vista from -4 is worth it for the running? No, I'm not convinced. If we're going all the way to the end, I'm not convinced about that at all. Chad Scott says, please like the vid, people. Chris Koo says, last question for me. Mateta or Eze? Mateta, thanks, mate. I hope you come back as a champ from Bilbao. Need to get there first, mate. But thank you, Mateta. Almost Seca says, evening. Where would Trent be in the benching dilemmas, namely before or after Livramento? Cheers. Got Trent playing. Done. Simple as that. Pick a, would have Trent on free hit this week? Debatable. Yeah, got Trent, play Trent, mate. Ben Wilgood says, hi James, which 2 to sell for Boomer and Bowen? Choices are Saka, Asensio, Murphy and Sarr. I personally, if it really doesn't matter for money, Asensio to Murphy, but I think we'll be looking at moving Saka on next week anyway, so maybe Saka, Asensio. John says, start Elanga or Mitoma. Cheers. Probably Elanga, just about. Shout out NJ Lobrowski says, no question James, good luck this game week, good luck for the final. Fuck, stop this shit back, good luck for the final, ain't in it. Matthew Sutherland said, but thank you, brother. Matthew Sutherland says, hi James, and thanks for all your help. Eze or Saka for Bumo. It's obviously a sell, yeah, Saka at the moment, isn't it? Shout out Niall Cummins, hope you're well. Off the biscuit, hi James, I'm chasing my mini league rival who has a very template team and is 50 points clear. I already own Bumo, Wood and Bowen. Thoughts on Isak and Jota to Watkins and KDB? I mean, look, to be honest, I was going to say there's a risk element in it, but you're almost looking for the risk, and you're trying to chase 50 points. Jade Oeni says, hey James, I'm 43 points from the first in the mini league. Okay. What's the next bit? Paul Clark says, Glasner or Pep Arsman would be removing Eze or KDB. I've been clear on this. Spooky Sorcerer says, if no leaks, start Murphy or Savio. I mean, if we got him, I'd probably chance Savio. Jesus Christ, James, it's 4 minutes to deadline. FPL Focal is saying Marmoush doesn't start. Lazy FPL saying Haaland doesn't start. Thanks, Greg. It's very kind of you, mate. um, so that newsletter, FPL newsletter, have said this is essentially. So sorry, I've seen a message from Focal, but it's quote tweeting FPL newsletter who said Haaland doesn't start, Marmoush starts. As always, please use leaks at your own risk. I am going to, sorry guys, sort me out as the priority here, and I am removing Alexander Isak for Ollie Watkins. Oh God, what are you doing, James? Don't feel right. That doesn't. I've done it, and I'm like, fuck. It's like looking at Isak all this time is like a comfort blanket. Okay, I'm going to answer the question, and I'm going to press a button. James Bang, what a name, pal. Hi James, would you start Savinho or Sarr? Sarr. Zubin says, did I literally just? I mean, that one's better than the Murphy one. Shout out Chris, hope you well. Zubin says currently on Palace triple up Eze, Mateta, Sarr. Okay, I see you've got another question, but you're gonna have to wait. Ian from Melbourne says, "Low James, is it worth a -4 to get a playing goalkeeper?" Right. Do you know what? I've pressed the button. I've not even looked. But yeah, Watkins is he's in. Watkins is in for Isak. That's confirmed, and that's going to be it for me. In from Melbourne. Hello, James. Is it worth a -4 to get playing goalkeeper for a bench boost up the Shrimpers? Oh, God. I mean, technically, no. Well, yeah, I'll chance it. Fuck it, Ian. It's the end of the season, pal. LNNG says, sorry if I missed it, but why O'Brien over Branthwaite or Mikolenko? Mikolenko's a bit of a wanky choice, isn't he, really? O'Brien's more likely to get me the 15-pointer. That's it. And in terms of over Branthwaite, not a lot between O'Brien and Branthwaite. O'Brien was 0.3 cheaper. That's it. Zubin says, hi James, sorry about that. Currently on Palace triple up Eze, Mateta, Sarr. Looking to Mateta and Sarr for Boomer and Watkins for the last 4 weeks. Thoughts? Crack on. But I wouldn't rush Mateta to Watkins, despite what I've just done. Remember, I'm making choices to the end, right? I'm not putting Watkins in, Mateta in. I'm not sure I'd be taking him out, though, personally. Eric Lilly, if you only had wildcard plus bench boost remaining, which game weeks would you use them in? I would wildcard now to bench boost 36. You've got 1 minute. Good luck. That's amazing, isn't it? KDB starts according to FPL main road. Savinho benched. So that's pretty reliable. FPL main road. KDB starts. Savinho benched. There's another account that I'm less familiar with is claiming that Vardy starts. It's like surprise news of the year. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. KDB starts, Savinho bench. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, we got it. Sorry guys, I'm not going to cover any more questions. Feels more important just to make sure any City info here might be right for people. So to repeat that should be reliable. Again, take leaks at your own risk. But KDB starts, Savinho a substitute. As Neil Kager says, tis deadline. Thanks, James. Good luck all. Apologies to those whose questions I didn't get to, but I had to deal with lots of Boomer and Vista stuff. Hopefully you've got the message. So my team is as it looks on that screen, but Watkins is in for Isak. I don't bullshit. No one's copying me, are they? I wish you all the very best of luck. If you came just for the FPL stuff, I hope your arrows are green this weekend. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Wherever you are, if you're experiencing nice weather, enjoy it. Love the family, all those kind of things. For anyone who wants to shout out some non-FPL questions, happy to cover them off for 10, 15 minutes or so. And then I'm getting in the fucking shower, quite frankly. Smash your like, hit the sub button your way out while I'm waiting for a few questions to come in. Reminder, no content Monday. It's a bank holiday here in the UK. So my son's not in school, so I'm not going to work. So it's quite a good rule that. Mind you, that would mean taking 6 weeks off in the summer and missing kind of like game weeks 1 to 3, and we couldn't be having that, could we? So game review podcast Tuesday, Wednesday, Clayton James show, obviously. Thursday clash of correspondences Fulham Everton with Lewis James and Sean Norton. Friday is a to be confirmed, because obviously if Villa Tottenham does get brought forward, I'll be in touch with Lee and Ricky to see if we can do something. The game week 36 deadline is, I believe, 10 a.m. next Saturday. Our Patreon content next week will include oh, do you know what? I said to do Q&A Tuesday, but it's UCL Fantasy as well, isn't there? I need to think about that. Might do Q&A Wednesday. UCL and for any of my patrons, if you want a guest on the UCL Fantasy podcast this week, do let me know, because Clayton's on a stag do or something. So it might be that Q&A Wednesday. Might do Tottenham or Tottenham's Thursday. Then maybe Tottenham. See how Clayton feels after hopefully losing in Paris. No offense, Clayton, love you. And our game week 36 preview on Friday. If you want to support the show, it's www.patreon.com/planetfpl. There'll be additional video content at advanced here, which includes a Zoom call with me as well, where you can join me and fellow patrons, and we just shoot the breeze for an hour and talk about whatever we want, which is quite commonly football and FPL. Again, if anyone's got any non-FPL questions, throw them in the chat now. Happy to cover some of them off. And patrons, you're all naughty for not tagging me on Slack. But I was on it. All right, I was on it. But few you got cards marked, right? You know, James. You know, think of James. Poor James. Can't read all the messages. Like, yeah, think of James. Right, cheers. Thanks for your support. Right, Zayn Ali says, who do you think wins each of the 3 European leagues? Is there only 3, mate? Right, I'm gonna think that you meant 3 European trophies, as in. Mind you, actually, James, it's the Champions League, it's the Europa League, and it's the Europa Conference League. Okay, fine. Let's cut competitions on it. The answers are PSG, Manchester United, and Chelsea, mate. I'm going to assume that's what you meant from your question. Greg says, with the way Spurs have demolished Man United this season, would you expect to beat them in the final? No, they'd be strong favourites. Can tell you that the bookmakers will make Manchester United favourites, no doubt about that. What you need here is context, so I'll give you some. We won 3-0 at Old Trafford. Eric Ten Hag was manager. We beat them 4-3 in the League Cup quarter-final, where Amrim mass rotated, and we nearly blew a 4-1 lead. But I remember there was United even got an injured player in the first half, and he brought on, like, the change he made was like, oh yeah, he doesn't give a fuck about this. And then we beat him 1-0 in the league, and it was the first time in ages we'd had like a break of like a week to prepare. And you might remember United had so many absentees that day. So many. There was rumoured that it was loads of kids were going to start. It was people ill, sick, injured. I mean, United had about 12, 13 absentees that day. So you can paint your story that Tottenham beat Manchester United 3 times this year. But I'm going to tell you honestly that none of them have any relevance on a potential final if we played them. And Manchester United would be favourites. Manchester United have a stronger team than Tottenham. Now, we will not be told different. They've also got a stronger manager than Tottenham. We won't be told different. And Manchester United also have one world-class footballer in Bruno Fernandes. Now, of course, can we beat them? Yeah, of course, goes without saying. And I'd go there with hope, but not so much expectation. They would be favourites, and that would be correct. But it would be, I don't know, a 60-40 matchup, wouldn't it? So, like, could we win? Yeah, of course. Chris Bridges says, well, interesting team. What rank are you? I am 40k or 41k. I had a bit of a touch yesterday, kind of, because I didn't have any Forest Brentford. So I only dropped from 39 to 41k. Gained a Jared Bowen point in the middle of that as well. So didn't turn out too badly last night. I thought I'd probably end the week about 50k. So one last push. I managed to survive this period with no chips and stuff. So let's see how it goes. I wanted to pick players that I was happy with. And I know there's plenty to be going, 5.6 million in the back. It's 5.7 now. I think I've done it to Watkins. But I think it would have been a mistake, actually. And that KDB go off tonight. I should have had him, or Palmer go. I get it. I picked for what I thought was right for balance and thinking about not just this week, but what's to come as well. And yeah, I could put KDB in. I'm 9 players against promoted teams next week. I know. Who is next? Marius Stoica says, cheers, James. How did you found the atmosphere last night in the stadium? Sorry if covered. It was fantastic, mate. I spoke about it a bit on Patreon this morning. Excuse me. Brilliant. Not the best atmosphere I've experienced at the Lane. There were two that were better. The Arsenal 3-0. But the best atmosphere at White Lane was the second game, the Champions League quarter-final against Manchester City. Was outrageous, the noise that night. And it just never stopped. But it was, last night the support was great, but that night against Manchester City, it was great and it was loud, really loud. So I don't know if that will ever get beat, that atmosphere that night against Man City. It just did not stop. And it's different support, because last night you're trying to push the team, but against an opponent like City, you're scared as well. As it's out of fear. You're desperate to help them more as well. And there were more player songs and stuff. Like, I don't know really if many players' names got sung last night. Not many. Johnson when he scored. Maddison a little bit when he scored. I heard Richarlison's name at one point after he'd missed a chance, which was nice. Yeah. Whereas that whole team back in like 19, every player had like a song bouncing around the walls and stuff. So see, it was the best. It was very good last night. And in terms of the picturesque setting of it, yeah, it was the best for how it looked ever. It really looked like a white wall, like Dortmund's yellow wall. Was fantastic last night. The weather helped, where everyone really legitimately could wear white. So in terms of how the stadium looked with it all white, which is obviously our main colour, it looked fantastic last night. Best atmosphere for a long time. So good. It shows what it can be. The goal helped it, but the atmosphere was bouncing an hour before kickoff. It really was good. And then the early goal obviously really helped. Stuart Webb says, thoughts on the championship final day? I'm an Oxford fan away at Swansea tomorrow and so relieved it will be a party atmosphere. Well, yeah, you look safe, so congratulations. I did a little piece on it on Wednesday. I mean, particularly the kind of the 1 from 5 at the bottom feels like it could be any. My instinct is that Hull, 22nd, will go, actually. And I think Coventry and Bristol City will take the 5th and the 6th as well. So it might land a little bit anticlimactic, but it could be good fun. I won't, even as someone's just put Watkins in my team, if it's getting interesting, I won't hesitate to stick it on rather than Villa Fulham. Spooky Sorcerer took Savio out just in time for Boomo. Blimey. Emma 23 didn't ask because I knew you'd say no. -8 hit. Good luck, Emma. Great stream as per. Have a fab weekend. Hope we all get those lovely green arrows. You too, mate. AG29 says, are you watching the Asian Champions League final tomorrow? No, mate. Couldn't even tell you was in it, but I wish the two teams the best of luck. God, they're so PC and wanky, James. Alex J. It's the deadline stream. Let go. I don't even know who's in it, mate. Alex MJ87 says, I'm going to skip that because I did talk about Amrim and Anja a little bit. So, yeah, I said it before the quarterfinals as well. I said before the quarterfinals, I thought United would win the trophy. And I think we're probably a good opponent for what Amrim is now beginning to build with United. From the brief highlights I watched this morning, it kind of struck me. Say brief highlights, literally like 3 minutes of it. It struck me that they looked quite powerful, more physical team now, you know. And there's been lots of criticism for people like Maguire and Casemiro, but do you know what? These guys are used to playing big games and stuff. They'll go into that final with a lot more experience than us as well. David Tilston says, hi James, Stoke fan here. Who's going down from the championship down to the wire? I wish you luck, David. I've told you. I saw Clayton's little dig. I didn't realise he even said it. And I was cutting something back for the audio. I was like, fucking hell, Clayton said, yeah, like I hope Stoke go down. Bitter Arsenal fan, innit? I mean, all he does is play like Stoke now anyway, innit? So I don't know what he's upset about. Um, Thomas Powell is replying to Stuart. Good luck, Thomas. Melinda says, were you saying from an ethics point of view, you'd never buy a resale ticket? So if you don't get one in the final allocation, you would just give up. A lot of anger for United season ticket holders and credits today. No, 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 no. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, if you are asking how it's done, if you want to buy tickets from wherever, yeah, if I couldn't get a ticket for the final, listen, I'll be blessed. I'll definitely get one, right? But if I couldn't get one, yeah, I'd be doing everything I could to get one. So I understand. All I was literally saying is, I'm not the right person to ask because I've never done it. So it's a regular question I get from people like in DMs is, oh, is this resale site trustworthy and stuff? I ain't got a clue. I've no idea. I personally would be more in the position of just getting out there and trying to buy a ticket. Costs you a lot of money, but you'll find one. There'll be fake ones as well. I don't have the answer because I've never had to do it. I don't realize I'm privileged in that position, and I get the anger, and it's going to be the same for Tottenham as well, right? Once there's some, I was going to say once some info. I mean, you already know what the allocation is, right? We've got 43,000 season ticket holders as well, right? It's not even a third are going to go. Shit. Actually, it's more than a third will go, but it's only a third are going to have tickets. Jurgen says, do you believe that the fact that the 14th and 16th team of the Premier League probably being in Europa League final shows the superiority of the league? I think the teams in Europa League are quite weak this year. I think in fairness to United, their route to the final of Sociedad, Lyon, Bilbao, it's pretty tough, I think. Two Spanish sides and one of the best teams in France. It's pretty good. Actually, our route's been pretty shit. When the draw was made, I was like, yeah, I want that side. Not thinking I'd be playing Bodo Glimt in the semi-final, by the way. But yeah, the route of Alkmaar, okay, Frankfurt a third in the Bundesliga, we'll mark that down as a tough one. And Bodo, I mean, if you got offered that route to the final, you'd be like, yes, please. To Tottenham, this is the thing, right? Tottenham getting to the final would be a great accomplishment, but ultimately have only achieved what they should. Really. Does it show the strength of the league? Yes. But also, it's like the regular comment you hear people say at the moment. I understand it. It's like, whoa, if Ipswich were good and, or if someone else was 18th, Man United and Tottenham would be in real trouble. Listen, Man United and Tottenham would have been picking different teams for the last 2 months. These two teams have been so fully committed to just the Europa League for about 2 months now. Completely. It's all they've been given a shit about, right? So the two teams, we can criticise my team all you like, right? And you can criticise United a lot as well. The two teams are better than those league positions. The two teams will finish in better positions than those positions next season. But also, I don't think it would be fair to say that they're much better than mid-table at the moment. Does it show the strength of the league? Yeah, of course. You only have to look at the Money League, right? Look at the Money League. There's like 12 Premier League teams in the top 20 or so, right? I think it's 7 in the top 11. It's definitely at least 6. So, yeah, of course, these are the richest clubs. The richest club. I mean, United and Tottenham are richer than everyone else in the world, bar like 10 teams. Even for Tottenham. So, of course. You'd be surprised though, right? Let's sell it a different way for you. Let's say, hypothetical one here. That Forest and Brentford were Europa League representatives this year. Can't be Brentford, I get that. But let's say it was, and I said to you now, Forest and Brentford will finish 14th and 16th next year, but that will be the Europa League final. You'd be staggered. So it's the size of those two particular clubs as well. Zayn Ali says, I definitely meant European Cup competitions. My apologies. To be honest, you weren't wrong with what you said. They are all called leagues, but I was drawn to think of leagues. Stuart Webb, who do you think will get relegated from Championship? I've done that. Diljit says, who would win out of a fight between a Silverback Gorilla and 100 average men? Right, sorry. Here's what you can do, right? I'll tell you. 100% truthfully, right? You have to go to Patreon. You don't have to pay for it, okay? We will tonight release our best bits, some of the clips of our best bits on Patreon this week, and that goes out even to free members. That best bits goes out, so you can sign up, support us on Patreon. You don't have to pay, just support us as a free member, right? And in the best bits tonight, you will see me and Clayton discussing exactly that. And it's brilliant, I think, and has a very strange ending. Robert Silver says, any thoughts on the Wrexham saga? What saga, mate? What saga? I'm going to answer some other question, going to give you a chance, and if you haven't said anything extra, then I'll come back. But what saga? Let's do teams. I can see Greg's put it in. I'm going to find it way easier just to get it up here anyway. So let's have a look at what we got. Why did I go down? That was the wrong thing to do, wasn't it? I think we know what the Wolves team will be. It's probably going to be unchanged, isn't it? God, James, should just literally read Greg's message, making a complete absolute tit of yourself in front of hundreds of people. Whatever. Edison, Nunes, Diaz, Vardio, O'Reilly, Kovacic, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Doku, Marmoush. Subs, so Edison back in goal as well. On Haaland is on the bench. Can't check at the moment, can I? What price is he? What price is that big bear? I don't think I'd get him in anyway for just the 1 week. I think I'd be a little bit short. It wasn't anything else that I was prepared to cut enough. To be honest, the one real change I actually made from the team I did this morning was I went Williams instead of Milenkovic. And again, it was a little bit like the O'Brien v Brantford. It's just money, 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 money. Despite having all that money in the bank, it's like, this could be useful. It was more, as I said, thinking about getting Saka, Palmer rather than Haaland. JB says, hi, James. Watching United Bilbao game, I couldn't believe how many home team shirts that were in the stadium. It was the best supported team colours I've ever seen. Intimidating stadium, all the best. Yeah, looked great, as obviously looked great at Tottenham last night as well. But I take your point, particularly in Bilbao. I some bits of it, it looked like everybody was wearing a shirt. Vet says, I bought a ticket from resale company for Rangers Europa League final worth every penny and we lost. I've never regretted the money spent. Fortunate I could afford it, mind you. No, good. It's worth saying, just to counter that, people have obviously had bad experiences as well. So maybe a vet you could message, forgive me, I forget who asked the question now. Oh, I completely forgot to look at the walls. No, Strand Larson. I'm a fucking shoot, Surge. Surge, man. Patrons know why I'm saying that. So Bellegarde in for Strand Larson, who in fairness is not even in the squad. Otherwise expected, Sarr, Semedo, Dirty, Agbadu, Toti Gomez, Aitnori, Andre Gil Gomez, Minetzi, Bellegarde. Cunha will be the 9. Interesting. 14.8. Thank you. Yeah, I'm 0.2 short, I think, then, if I wanted to. There's no way. I mean, it would be from Watkins. I've not just put Watkins in to remove him next week anyway, so I wouldn't be going there. But yeah, it'd be interesting. A lot of people are gonna have some money in the bank this week. Could be some more hits flying about next week. If you think he starts, he's the best captain next week, isn't he? So should I have not? I could have gone like Kepa instead of Sells, and then I could have been doing this. But yeah, as I said, there's no way I'll be taking Watkins out. Nah, fuck it, whatever on it. Thomas Powell says, Joe Allen retiring brought a tear to my eye. Who was the last Spurs player retired that made you cry? There's only ever been one, mate. It's Ledley. That's the only one. Yeah. Others have done it when they've already left the club, right? More recent ones like Alderweireld, Vertonghen, before that, Moussa Dembele, Gareth Bale, already weren't at the club, right? So I think it's like, if it's with the club, obviously means a lot more. So only Ledley, and I think that was only because it was such a strong attachment. It's not many players I think will retire at a club like Tottenham now. I think There'll be one more money day, right? Like a Hugo Lloris gone to MLS, right? I think there'll be more things like that. So yeah, maybe it's a small price of the size of club I support, perhaps. So yeah, I mean, what he's given that football club for so long over a couple of stints as well is it's not surprising, Thomas. Okay, we'll leave it there, guys. I think that's questions done. Oh, John Mayer says, "Did Strand Larson loan end?" Um, we'll leave it there, guys. Have a great weekend. I hope your arrows are green. Remember, no content Monday because it's bank holiday here in the UK. So see you for the game review podcast on Tuesday. Good luck, everyone. Ciao for now. Bye bye.